afternoon. It is Thursday. That means it's time for It's Called Life. Hallelujah. It's called life. I'm telling you, it's called life, and there is no exceptions to life. Everyone is affected by it. There's absolutely no exemption. Even Jesus wasn't exempted from life and the things that come along with life. Um, Everyone, it's a lot of people now, and mostly all of us know someone who has been affected by COVID, and we are praying for all of those that are our caregivers. We're praying for first responders. We're doing all those things. They are affected by life. People are affected through poverty, lack, loss of a loved one, unexpected things happen, accidents. It's all called life. And a lot of times when people have things happen to them, they put it all together like it's one vicious attack upon them as individuals. But I'm telling you what, if you don't quit, we win. I always say, I win, I'm winning, I am a winner. And that's what you need to be saying today. I know it's sometimes it might have been tough. It might have been tough all week. It might have been tough all day. But I'm telling you, it's called life. And God said he's given us everything that pertains to life and godliness and grace and peace can be multiplied in the knowledge of him. And so if you don't quit, if you don't cave in, you will win. No way you cannot win. We glory in tribulation, tribulation working patience, patient work experience, experience working hope, and hope does not leave us ashamed. Speaking of that, I have been concerned, I'm sure parents and grandparents been concerned about their young adults, not just the teens, but the young adults. Sometimes we talk about children's church, we talk about teens, but we leave out young adults. And today, I am so blessed and extremely happy to have the Abakas with me today, who is just awesome people. First of all, they're just people of integrity and character, and I am so excited. I've had the opportunity, his nickname Sly, we call him Sly, and I've had the opportunity to minister with him with men conference, and the last few Wednesdays he's been ministering at World Changers Church International, and I'm so happy to see God raise this young man up. So without further ado, I'm going to have the Bakas come on, and I'm going to have them tell some personal things about themselves, their personal stories, and I have questions I want to ask that to help our ministers that is a part of CDMA, Creflo Dollar Ministerial Association, and all those else that are tuned in. So welcome with me, the Abaka.
Yeah. Welcome. Hi.
Yeah. Wise out. I gotta do my Marty invitation.
Good morning, Marty. What's up?
Come on. That's what I'm talking about. Man, come on, y'all. Introduce yourself. I want to start with your lovely wife. How about that?
Awesome.
Introduce yourself and tell us how you got the World Changers and how you get to the point you are at now.
Okay, awesome. My name is Ayana Abaka, and I started at World Changers. Well, first, I was born in Trinidad and Tobago, so I am a West Indian baby, and I came here when I was 4. I came to the United States. My parents and I lived in New York, New Jersey, and then we moved to Atlanta when I was 10, turning 11. And the funny story about how me getting to World Changers has a lot to do. We didn't move to Atlanta knowing about World Changers. We just moved because we wanted something new, didn't want to live up north anymore. And but I went to the middle school down the street from World Changers, Ronald McNair Middle School. And my parents were taking me to register me for school for 6th grade. And we saw this big gold dome on Burnett Road. And my dad was like, that's a church? Like, we thought it was a church. And then at the time, we didn't have a car. So my parents were on the bus line. And so I think around the same time, a lady met my dad at the bus station, and I think she was passing out, like, the little tracts that they had back in the day.
Yeah.
And she invited him to church, and it was World Changers. And so that was 2 times my dad heard about World Changers, and we decided to go one Sunday. My parents and I got born again, and I have been at World Changers since 1996. And so, like, I basically grew up at World Changers. I started serving in ministry. As soon as I hit 18, I started serving in the teen ministry at World Changers. And then we met. We met at in teen ministry serving. I was the lead for junior high ministry, and he was the sound tech.
Yep.
And
sound tech for watching the lead.
Yep. And
amen.
I guess I'll let you jump in, and then we'll bring the both stories together.
Yeah, definitely. Because our stories do intersect too.
Yeah.
So just like her, I came to World Changers. I actually grew up off of Old National, so I'm a Georgia boy, College Park representative, and actually grew up literally 2 minutes from the church, but never went. My parents are African, so we went to a African church, Ghana Community Church. I did not really like church simply because I didn't understand it. All we knew was we go, we dance, we praise, and then right after offering time, we leave church and we go and play pool or talk to girls, whatever it is. And that was my idea and my understanding of the church. So when I came to World Changers, I actually came in 1998 because my older brother was invited by another friend at his school. And so we went to church, and I was like, whoa, it was TT.
And it's funny because the friend that invited your brother, I knew her too.
Yeah. So we came to the church, and I was like blown away, like, this is huge. What's going on? Because I used to see Pastor on TV, and I was afraid of him because I thought his mouth was on fire. I was like, that man is scary.
On TVN.
Oh, yeah.
Or UPN.
It was on UPN.
Was it real early in the morning?
So fast forward, eventually I pretty much got connected, but I also kind of eventually fell off because I wanted to experience life a little bit, but it wasn't long. But when I fell off, I came back because I wanted to come to church for myself. I actually I got annoyed with what I call professional Christians, which made me kind of not want to be at church.
Yep.
So I came back on my own, and around, I think it was 97, the end of 97 going into 98. I'm sorry, 2007, not 97. That's when I started serving in teen ministry. I saw her because I wanted to make new friends. I saw her on MySpace, and I was like, whoa, she's pretty. So I added her as a friend. She rejected it. I said, whatever.
I did.
I just wanted to meet people. And eventually I came to the church. I started meeting other people, other young adults like myself. And I don't want to say the rest is history, but that was the beginning.
Yeah. Well, he saw me in person. That was the thing. You saw me in person in teen ministry.
Actually, the first day I came
to
teen ministry, I saw her in person.
Yeah.
And I tried to keep a straight face. And one of my leaders, he saw me when she left that. He was like, you like her? I was like, no, I don't. He was like, yes, you do. I was like, no. I did.
Yeah. So
we've been there?
Yeah, we've been there. We were friends, and then we eventually started dating in 2008.
Yep.
Got engaged 2009. Got married 2010. And then we continued serving in ministry together. And then 2013, we were asked to start leading the young adult ministry. Well, actually developing a young adult ministry. Because there was a young adult ministry at World Changers before, like years before, and I was actually a part of it. But for whatever reason, it stopped, and then they wanted to, bring another young adult ministry about, and we were to lead it, and we've been doing it ever since.
Yep.
Okay. Well, look, I want to get into some questions because I don't want our time to be get gone. So every generation, and my generation was the hippie generation. You know, all of us are going to hell. Everybody, all the baby boom. Then the next one was Generation X. I don't know what's wrong with them children. And that's what our parents said about us. And then now the
Millennials,
Generation X saying, them doggone millennials, I tell you what, they going to hell. Everybody going, every generation, people are skeptical about them growing up or them serving God, because you know, it's a lot of crazy things out there with young people now. I mean, it was crazy. It was that's when the drug culture really blew up in my generation. And so, but here I am today, born again, spirit filled, love God, and I'm sure. But tell me about why or how do this generation, do they really want to serve God, and what do I and ministers my age that have growing and developing churches, because to me look like they get lost. The youth, young adult get lost from teenage to young adult. So help me out with all of that.
Definitely. All right. So when it comes to, especially we call it the fall off. The fall off after they graduate high school, once they leave, let's say if you do have a teen ministry, what happens is these teens now getting into young adults, they went to church because they were forced to. They had to go to church. There was no choice. So what happens is they finally understand a sense of freedom, where they say, man, I don't have to go anywhere if I don't want to. So eventually that can develop into laziness. It can develop into whatever, because they start to feel like I have a choice, and they realize they have a choice. So what I've noticed and what we've noticed is, even in our own lives, that the issue was we didn't have a relationship with God for ourselves. We had a relationship with God based on our parents making us have a relationship with God. So of course, one way to prevent that fall off is to push or encourage that having your own personal relationship for yourself, not because anybody else is saying it, but for yourself. Because once that freedom is realized, when you turn 18, when you leave college, leave to go to college, and realize that when you wake up, you have a choice to go to school. You got a choice to do whatever it is. And if you don't get up, it won't get done. Nobody's going to hold your hand. At that time, that's also where having that relationship with God will kick in, and it'll turn into, I have this already developed where I know God for myself. So even that translates into other areas of your life. So I guess if you wanted to add anything to that too.
I feel like like he said, what stops it is having, because one thing that I know, especially at World Changers, that we make sure we have that connection with teen ministry with Pastor Anthony and Pastor Constance. And I know that with them, they are helping with that transition.
Okay.
Like the importance is starting honestly from children's ministry, starting to establish that foundation in those foundational years. I know we have 2 daughters, and we have a 3-year-old who is going through children's ministry right now. And just even the lesson plans and the different things that they have for her to understand God for herself. So the conversations that we have with her at 3, you're like, oh, so you know that? And that's good. Like, I'm happy that she knows that. So establishing that foundation from a young age, and then filtering it through to teenage years. And then eventually when it comes to you being an adult, you make that decision for yourself. If you're going to stay at church, or if you're going to, do whatever else you want to do. I know for me personally, because I had those certain foundations going through the different steps of my life, when I graduated from high school, I didn't go off to college. I stayed in Atlanta, but I still had to, I could do whatever I wanted to do in a sense, but I chose to stay at church. I chose to, be a part and be involved in ministry. So I feel like it's less pushing, and honestly, you just got to give your children to God. That's the biggest thing. You got to give them to God, and you got to trust the God in them and continue to trust the word that is inside of them.
Yeah. Amen. Well, that's a good answer. How do you really effectively, and that's what some of our churches in rural areas, some of them developing churches. We don't call church small churches at Crestwood Valley Ministerial Association.
Mm-hmm.
We call them developing church because you're connected right. You can't help but grow. So what are some of the effective ways that you find to minister to millennials?
One, honesty.
Yeah.
They can spot a fake. The biggest thing is not only, of course, a sense of transparency, but when you can actually line up what you're preaching and how you're living, it resonates because they develop a sense of trust because they're like, first of all, I can trust what you say because you live what you say.
Yeah.
But if you're not living what you say, there's no reason for me to trust what you say.
Right.
So a lot of times, especially when it comes to young adults, they kind of sit back and they observe.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can feel like, oh, they're being disrespectful. No, they're really watching you.
Yep.
They want to see, are you consistent in what you're talking about? Because maybe they didn't have that consistency around them. So they're longing for somebody that's going to hold on to what they say. That's going to be a man or a woman of their word.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that's going to live the life that they claim that they believe. So when they see that, they're like, wow, it's really real.
Mm-hmm.
You're really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more. How can I be like this? Because they're used to everybody being fake, or as now, especially what is it, Gen Z?
Gen Z. That's cap.
They said that's cap.
That's cap.
And cap
It's what now?
That's cap. CAP.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so what that is they call that capping, or in other words, you're lying.
Yeah.
So you're listen. So they say, when they realize,
hey, now you're not capping on my show, are you?
No, not at all. No cap. No cap.
Hey, I'm not that slow. I only ride the short bus because I'm used to sometimes. I just like to get on there once in a while to ride.
Okay. Yeah,
But one thing I find out too from ministering to millennials and young adults, and they sit back and check you out because they'll fact check you in a moment.
Yep.
So you better be telling the truth. You better not be telling them something you heard. You better be able to back it up with something you know. So I know they'll do that. Well, man, great answers. Man, I got to come and sit over there with you guys and learn some things myself. What are some of the practical ways that our minister, myself, and other ministers can learn how to minister to the millennial? What are practical ways that we can do that? Got it. Steps.
Practical ways, like, okay, yes, the word is important, but I feel like life skills is also important.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think that's one thing that is sometimes missing when it comes to young adult and even sometimes teen ministry is life skills. And that's one thing I do appreciate that we're able to do is have those life skills because they don't just want to know the Bible stories and, different things. They want to know literally everything. They're like, I hear you, but I need to know this, and this. So life skills, how to budget your finances, how to like our current topic talking about wholeness, and having a personal relationship with God. Just everything.
Yeah.
Honestly, everything. They want to know everything.
Yeah. And along with that is to have have a listening ear.
Yeah.
Because they'll actually tell you
what they
want.
Yeah.
Like, and even what they need. So a lot of times I've noticed that we can develop a habit of force feeding young adults because we're like, oh, you're young, you don't understand. However, they really understand and they know a whole lot more than a lot of times they give off because they don't always feel the security and comfortable to be able to openly share, hey, I have this issue. Hey, I have this question. And they're used to people saying, I don't care about what you're talking about. I'm going to tell you what you need to know.
Yeah.
When in actuality, they're like, can you listen to me? Because I'm trying to figure this out, and I'm really watching because they're observing.
Yeah.
I'm watching, I'm learning, I'm applying things for myself, but also how can I apply what I've learned to my life? How can I, or even can I talk to you to be able to understand what does this actually mean? Because they're not really listening a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, coming from a teenager, you're used to, again, go sit down, be quiet, stop talking, do this. So they're like, okay, well, I guess I'll be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But now they have developed into a young adult where they have questions. So now they're sitting there asking and wondering who's going to listen. How can I figure this out? And when we're not listening as a church, what do? They go online, they find somebody else that's listening, somebody that resonates with them in some kind of way, and now they call that Bible. And then the church says, oh, you're running away. And they say, no, I didn't run away. I want to be here. It's just you're not actually trying to reach me.
Yeah. And I found someone that accepted me for who I am.
Yep.
Another practical way, honestly, is small groups. One thing that we found, especially with the young adult ministry, is they want to be able to speak out. They want to be able to ask questions. They want to be able to engage and interact with other young adults. So let's say if you have a young adult small group at your church, encourage that. Even if it's like a monthly meetup, just for them. One thing that we were doing pre-pandemic, were outside of our normal shift services, we were doing once a month meetups at different restaurants around Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And they loved it. They loved being able to just be in a normal setting, just talking. We get something to eat and just be like, we would definitely have a lesson plan or whatnot, or a few scriptures for that particular month and whatever topic we were talking on, but it gave them the opportunity to talk versus just hearing myself or Sylvester talking.
Yep. And one thing to add with that too, they also saw church outside of church.
Yeah.
Which is because it wasn't that, oh, well, we're just at church and this is what we do. They saw other people who aren't in church. Sometimes they might be drinking. They're sitting right next to us, eavesdropping on our conversation. Yep. Sometimes they'll jump into the conversation and they'll say, man, I didn't know I needed that. Yep. And now this young adult is like, wow, I can actually live this outside. I don't have to hide what I believe.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that has to do a lot with you two guys, because you are living epistles to them. And you're the Bible that they're reading, because you're the walking example. Because sometimes, we can read this and we say that's old school, that's in the Bible day. But then y'all are bringing it to life in y'all everyday life. So they know y'all not capping them. That's right.
No cap. No cap.
But there's a couple things. Okay, tell me, you said shift. You used the word shift. What is shift?
Okay, so SHIFT is the College and Young Adult Ministry for World Changers Church International, and it's not an acronym.
Nope.
It is literally just the word shift, and it is derived from change, world changers. So we decided to call the Young Adult Ministry SHIFT.
Or change your direction.
Yep.
And I heard something very interesting, and I might have this wrong, but I think it's a great concept. If I heard it correct, and if I didn't, I still think it's a great concept. Work with the children's church and watch the children's church transition them into the teen ministry. And then the teen ministry works with the shift. Mm-hmm. And if we can keep that continuity, we can keep them in church better. Keep them engaged in better. Did I hear that? Y'all want to compliment it, come in on that.
Yeah, it's a thread. Because the thing is, it's a full life cycle, like almost like a circle of life. As the parent is getting fed in the dome or in the church itself. So of course you're getting your own feeding, but then your children, they have their own way of understanding. So then the children, let's say in children's ministry, they now are developing, they're getting excited. They're like, man, this is awesome. I'm learning about God. Oh, this. And then they come home and now you're able to engage with them on their level because they're excited and ready to share. Then they move over to teen ministry. Now they're growing up, they're dealing with different things. But in teen ministry, they now also are still getting the word applied to their life of where they are. So now they may not always be as verbal as they were when they were in children's ministry, but the excitement is there. And as a parent, it's like, okay, well, how can, like, you're still able to engage with them on their level. And then they now move into young adult ministry And the young adult ministry, they're like, wow, I have a community of people where outside of my family, there's still people that believe the way that I've been learning to believe as I've been going through this assembly line or going through this life. And now, as you get out of young adult, now you're actually right back in the dome or right back in the church. And now you have children. And then you do the whole process right back over. So it's literally just a revolving circle of life that happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you have someone who's gone through children, gone through teen ministry, and now they're in shift, and they start kind of wavering or kind of miss several of the service, is there anything that you all have in place, or is there anything you do to keep that person engaged or try to find out what's happening with them so he can continue to serve God?
One thing we definitely encourage is connections. There are a lot of relationships and friendships that have been established when it comes to the young adult ministry. So there's a lot of accountability.
Yep.
There's accountability within the friendship groups, and then there is accountability, let's say. That's why it's important to have like a hospitality person or department in a way to reach out to those people. Like, you know what? Like one of our volunteers, she was amazing at this, especially when we were physically in the building. She would say, you know what? I didn't see this person today, or I haven't seen them in 2 weeks. I'm going to call them or shoot them a text and see how they're doing. And it could be because of work, or it could be because of school. The biggest thing that we also have to remember with young adults is they have very busy lives, especially when it comes to college and work. Those are the two main areas that we really dealt with, especially when it came to young adults. So we have to also be graceful to them in that area of, I understand that you have school. I understand that you have work going on, and the days may not go with your schedule. I just want to check in on you, and then also make it known and make it available that, hey, if you can't come Tuesday night to shift, we got Wednesday night Bible study, or I hope to see you at church on Sunday.
And because the biggest thing is we know that we can't put all the responsibility on ourselves to be everything for everybody. So by us also encouraging, even when it comes to shift, like as a young adult ministry, we call ourselves the vitamin, but we're not the main course. So as a vitamin, we're able to supplement and add to, but we're not an actual meal. Like the meal is when you get fed. So we highly encourage that Wednesday night service or Bible study, highly encourage Sunday, but then also just online. So you can't sit up there and say, man, I didn't get any word. Because we've had some people say, man, but I want the word like this. This is my church. I'm like, no. This is your community. This is our church. Because we're a part of it, so we don't allow it to be separate.
Amen. I know my time is about up, but I got to squeeze in 2 more questions. Y'all keep provoking me to ask another question. Okay. I'm at ground zero. How do I get started with a teen ministry?
Well, honestly, just how do you get started? Just start. That's the biggest thing, is just starting. What's the vision that God gave you? What is the vision that God gave you for a young adult ministry? Do you have a name? Do you have a mission statement? And then just put it out there. If there's anyone in the church because listen, if there is not a young adult ministry established in the church, they're wanting it. They're talking about it. Years before Shift was established at World Changers, we were all talking about it. Me and my friends, man, I wish we still had the old young adult ministry that we had. They're talking about it. So all you have to do is just put it out there. When we first started Shift, we just put an announcement out there, and there were people just coming.
Focus group.
Wow.
We want to start a young adult ministry. Where are our young adults at? And they showed up.
It's
like, well, where can we sign up? We want to be a part. So the people, as she said, the people are there. And as I forgot the name of the movie, but if you build it, they'll come.
And allow them to get involved. Of course, you as the leader have the structure, and you're leading them, but allow them to get involved. That's the biggest thing. And of course, use God's wisdom in everything, because there are certain things we've made mistakes along the years. We've listened a little too much.
What?
Back in.
What?
We had to to reel it back in, or we had to pump the brakes on some things, but that's okay.
Yep.
That's okay.
That's good. That's good. Oh, that's good. Hey, we probably make more mistake than anybody else because we're doing more than everybody else.
Yep, exactly.
But hey, but we narrowing the mistake down and we're getting it right. And I'm gonna have one other question, and I don't went over my time, but are you guys willing? Because Sheila, along with myself, y'all know we is point people for CDMA and our minister that connected Dr. Dollar. If we decide that we want to do a Zoom training, would you guys be available and willing to help us with our pastors in creating and helping and coaching this ministry?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
That would be a pleasure.
Yes.
I would appreciate that. Well, look, I tell you what, I've been honored. This is the last episode of season 2. So we are starting season 3 up, I believe in January, February. I don't have the information in front of me right now. We're doing everything by video, but you guys are my last guest. Hey, babe, what's her name?
This is Haven.
Hey,
Hi.
baby. Hey. Well, God bless you. Good to see you. You know, and that's a good showing right there. Make it a family affair. I really believe in making it a family affair. Well, I tell you what, everyone that's tuned in today, I know you was blessed today. I'm blessed. I mean, the Baka, I'm going to get with them and talk to them privately.
Yes. Yes.
Myself, because they've educated me today. I'm sure they educated you. I've been extremely blessed. Look out for the World Changers announcement at World Changers. Look at your email. Look at your Facebook, because it will be announced that when we're coming back. I always like to start my new season off with Dr. Dollar, because it always some pertinent things that he started. I want to start with his heart, what he's seeing we want to do this year and this coming year, and it's very exciting. So I'm looking forward to season 3 coming up. This has been a blessing to me. Thank y'all so much for coming again. And so look here, Kenneth Fuller said, if it get any better, I'm gonna clone myself. So peace out. God bless you. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Say bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.